and welcome back to Chapter Day. Happy Thursday. Wow, can you believe we are almost to the end of another week? I can barely believe we are on Thursday. But anyway, here we go. Can't hold the week back. Today we'll be reading Job chapter 4. Yesterday we saw Job lamenting his birth, his conception, the day or night he arrived into the earth, the fact that his mother was able to nurse him and he grew up to be a man. And like I said, we've been in such dire straits at times that we wish we were never existing for real. And this is what Job is going through. Chapter 4. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, If we essay to commune with thee, wilt thou be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking? Remember when his three friends came to visit him, they saw how he was in a terrible situation and they just sat and grieved with him. But now that he is talking, they asked if they could talk as well. Verse 3. Behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. Thy words have upholden him that was falling, and thou hast strengthened the feeble knees. But now it is come upon thee, and thou faintest. It toucheth thee, and thou art troubled. Is not this thy fear, thy confidence, thy hope, and the uprightness of thy ways? Remember, I pray thee, who ever perished, being innocent. Oh, where were the righteous cut off? Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. By the blast of God they perish, and by the breath of his nostrils are they consumed. The roaring of a lion and the voice of the fierce lion and the teeth of the young lions are broken. Okay, so his friend Eliphaz the Temanite is the first one to speak. And what he's saying is, you gave people advice. In other words, I'm paraphrasing. And now you cannot take your own advice. Now that trouble has hit you, you are weary. You can't take it. In addition to that, does bad things happen to good people? That's what he's asking. If you were innocent, why are all these things happening to you? In other words, that's what he's saying. It seems like you're getting punished by God, because whatever you sow, that's what you reap. I don't know, boy. Some friend. Verse 11. The old lion perisheth for lack of prey, and the stout lion's whelps are scattered abroad. Now a thing was secretly brought to me, and mine ear received a little thereof. In thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falleth on men, fear came upon me and trembling, which made all my bones to shake. Then a spirit passed before my face, the hair of my flesh stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. An image was before mine eyes. There was silence, and I heard a voice saying, Shall mortal man be more just than God? Shall a man be more pure than his Maker? Behold, he put no trust in his servants, and his angels he charged with folly. How much less in them that dwell in houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, which are crushed before the moth. They are destroyed from morning to evening. They perish forever without any regarding it. Doth not thy excellency which is in them go away? They die even without wisdom. Okay, so in everything we've heard here in this chapter 4, where Job's friend Eliphaz the Temanite is requesting to be heard. First of all, he's telling Job, you have helped people in their problems, but now you are the one with the same problems, and you are not holding up as well as you maybe had admonished other people. What you told other people now, back then, you aren't doing that now. You are falling apart now that bad things are happening to you. Furthermore, don't we usually reap what we sow? I don't think you could be innocent and this is happening to you. You must have done something wrong. In other words, this is what he's saying. And he goes on to give some vision that he had with some spirit or whatever it might have been talking to him. asking him if a mortal man should be more just than God. So, in other words, if God finds that something, if this is God's punishment, which it's most likely looking like it is to the people, Job is under God's punishment for something, and God is just, then Job must have done something wrong. So in every way that his friend, I'm not sure if he's trying to console Job or accuse Job, because to me it's coming across more like an accusation than a consolation. He's telling Job, you know what, you're reaping what you sow, and you can preach to other people, but now you have to practice it yourself. You're not doing that well. And furthermore, God is just, so we can't blame God. So you must have done something wrong for this to be happening to you. And this is what he said in a nutshell. In chapter 4, my. Sometimes, you know what? It's better that you mourn alone. If you're going to mourn and people come out to criticize you while you're in a dire strait like this, I'd prefer to just be there and be mourning by myself in my own sackcloth and ashes. I don't need to hear anybody's words of recommendation or whatever, commendation to me. I prefer not to hear it. Because if that's what you're going to come to tell me, that I'm reaping what I sowed, I'm now not being able to practice what I've preached, and God is righteous and just, so I must be getting payback for something wrong that I've done. And you know what? When you know your heart and your actions, you know yourself. There's an old African proverb that just says 2 words: know thyself. And if you know yourself, you and God know what you have done or not done. And Job is feeling in his own heart that he has done nothing. And here comes his friend telling him, you surely must have done something, because God is fair. So if this is happening to you, God is bringing judgment on you, and it's because you must have done something awful. What are you supposed to say now? Are you supposed to get angry? Or are you supposed to start asking yourself, man, did I really do something wrong? Even though in your heart you know. But we will see. In the long, all of this here is what happens to us in our own lives. We get accused by people wrongfully, even though we know in our own hearts we did nothing wrong. You know, people would like to tell you, you know, there's no way you can be innocent and all this bad stuff is happening to you. But like I said, everything in the Bible is for our admonition, for our instruction, for our example. So let us hold fast our faith. Though the heavens fall, my God, as sometimes they seem to be, just falling on our heads. But it's a lesson to learn from Job. So thank you all once again for listening, commenting. I pray that you are getting inspiration from whatever you've heard. Go read it for yourself if you need to have a little more insight. And until our next reading, take care and keep listening. Faith comes when we hear God's word. Bye.